waiting for speaker number 2. So let's just give it another 2 minutes. Two, 3 minutes or whatever, yeah. Okay. Okay. Okay, can you settle down, please? Thank you. Good morning to the members of the board, to the Mayor of Great Kai Local Municipality, our Executive Mayor, Mayor Maneli, who's connecting on the virtual platform, all the ADM councillors that are connected on the platform, and also I want to welcome all our guests that we have invited and have also shown interest. I would rather say all protocol observed, because unfortunately I do not have the list in front of me of the attendees for today's session. I think before we begin, we just need to set some ground rules for today's session. My name is Akona Tida. I am the acting CEO for Aspire Development Agency, which is the Amathole District Municipality Development Agency. I will be facilitating today's session. I've got the members of the board in the room with me, and I've also got the Mayor of Great Kai Local Municipality in the room, and also some guests as well. Just perhaps a few ground rules. Please, at all times, this is a hybrid event. Please mute your mic when you are on the platform. And also, if you could also please turn off your video so that you do not disturb the proceedings for today. And we will afford an opportunity for questions, discussions. And when that opportunity comes, please raise your hand on the platform so we can recognize you. But we've also got a chat box on the platform that you can utilize for the Q&A, where you can write your questions or discussion points. Furthermore, we're also live on our Facebook page, Aspire Development Agency. We're also on our Instagram page at Aspire Development Agency, and also on Twitter, which is at Aspire Amathole. So welcome to all those who have connected utilizing those platforms. To encourage the conversation today, we're going to use a few hashtags for this particular event. Hashtag Sekula Kunye, hashtag Amathole, hashtag creating wealth, so that we're able to get the conversation going. This is but one of many sessions that we're going to have in moving Amathole towards a prosperous and a smart district. I just want to get the speakers sorted. We do have the executive mayor, pardon me, the mayor for Great Kai Local Municipality in the room. I do understand that the executive mayor is on the platform already, and also I've got the chairperson of the board present in the room for our first segment. We will be starting in about 3 minutes at 10 past 10 on my watch. And then we can just ensure connectivity of the executive mayor for smooth flow of the proceedings. So we'll see you at 10 past 10. Thank you. The mayor. We are struggling a bit with the mayor, so we're going to request Mayor Tegile to come up. And then after Mayor Tegile, we're going to then request Prof. Adendorf to then come up. When we get the mayor, we'll then proceed when he's on the platform. Okay, Gary? Okay. Thank you very much. We will now commence with our program for today. And we are going to call on the platform the mayor for Great Kai Local Municipality, Umeya Tegile. Mayor Tegile's municipality is one of the 6 local municipalities of Amathole District. It is one of the most beautiful scenic areas for our district. It is a coastal municipality with a coastline of between Gwelecha and Kai Mouth. It is thriving on the tourism sector, but we do know what the COVID-19 pandemic has done on the tourism sector, but it still has a lot of potential for other industries, such as the seawater desalination plant as a potential location. Of the 912,000 people of Amathole District Municipality, Great Kai is home to more than 44,000 of those people. I would like to call onto the podium Umeya Tegile to officially open and welcome us to this session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Program Director. Greetings to you, Program Director, This is a very high-level meeting, and I observed that by the quietness when I entered that door. On behalf of Great Kai Municipality, allow me to extend greetings to the Executive Mayor of Amathole District Municipality, the Executive Mayor, Councillor Maneli. Your Worship, good morning. The Chairperson of the Board of Aspire, the Acting CEO, the board members, the executive management, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol is observed. We are delighted to be a hosting municipality of this stakeholder engagement session. Our observations inform us that our developmental agency, Aspire, is on a path of repositioning itself for the attainment of socio-economic development for our district. The agency is equally alive to the fact that in order for it to meet its set objectives, local municipalities and communities of Amathole should play a pivotal role in complementing its strategic objective. The expansion of the mandate of the agency is a matter that we must applaud, as it will enable it to unlock various economic opportunities for the people of Amathole. Our municipalities are mostly rural, and we are suffering from common feature of declining revenue base, and this further limits our capacity to roll out infrastructure projects, which is very key in the development of our communities. The mandate of Aspire will assist us in mitigating the mentioned challenges, as developmental projects such as the revitalisation of industrial parks and SMMEs development will surely unlock employment opportunities and change the face of our communities. It is equally important that Aspire becomes the voice of the voiceless in championing inclusive socio-economic development. If we are to all enjoy the fruits of development, development should not result in the widening of inequalities of our district. It must instead serve as a vehicle towards the upliftment of the previously disadvantaged, and the strong focus should tilt towards the youth, women, and people living with disability. The vision espoused by the agency gives us confidence that it will continue in its endeavor on transforming our district into a smart one, where it translates entities that are small scale and emerging into commercial entities, where we unleash our coastal belt potential and modernize our towns, in particular those that with institutions of higher learning. Amongst your flagship projects is the beekeeping initiative. It excites us that you are nurturing the indigenous knowledge of our communities by equipping them with modern and effective business development techniques. We want to welcome you in the stakeholders engagement session, and we wish you a fruitful and a successful engagements that will be aimed at empowering Aspire to achieve its strategic objectives. In Landing Chairperson, one of the writers, Landy Pennington and Bowes, has this to say when they talk about the future. And I quote, open quote, "A positive future is not a spectator's future. It is a participant's future. If you want to live a certain future, you have to get involved in creating it. You can't sit back and let others create the future. Otherwise, it is their future you will live in, not yours." Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I think, I must remember this, that we're still within the COVID pandemic. Thank you very much, Mayor, for those words. Indeed, if you are not involved in how you craft and how you shape your future, it may not turn the way that you want it to be. And I think it is also important to understand that when Amathole District Municipality in 2005 established the development agency, Aspire, they were looking at the aspects of how to manage, direct, and coordinate economic development in local government. And they went further to ensure that the development agency looks at how best to unlock the economic potential of the district. And in doing such, there were thought leaders within the space of small towns regeneration. And again, meaning that in line with the constitutional mandate that is bestowed on local government in terms of Section 152 to promote socio-economic development, that particular aspect is realized. I'm now going to request, before we call onto the podium, the chairperson of the board of Aspire, Prof. Adendorf, that we play a small video just as a reflection of where Aspire is from, where Aspire is going, and what Aspire wants to aspire, excuse the pun, for the future of Amathole. Can I hand over to the technical team to play the video, please?
In 2005, Aspire Development Agency was established by the Amathole District Municipality as part of its developmental agenda to unearth and discover new opportunities towards regional economic development for the people of Amathole. Through this mandate, Aspire has been implementing the Small Town Regeneration Program in line with various sectors such as agriculture, tourism and infrastructure. To date, projects worth over 200 million rand have been successfully implemented. In 2018, the parent municipality adopted a long-term plan to build a smart district premised on the key drivers of ICT, innovation, infrastructure and socio-economic development. This moved Aspire's mandate beyond small town regeneration, but economic growth and development for the entire district. It was clear that Aspire must position itself as the driver for economic development in the implementation and the resource mobilizations for the mega projects that had been identified by the parent municipality in line with Vision 2058. Further to this, and as part of its transformation and brand repositioning strategy, Aspire is focused towards prosperity and wealth creation, inclusiveness, digital advancement, and ensuring that society, government, and enterprise come together in the realization of this objective. Included in the strategy is assuring that Aspire is an appropriate vehicle to advance and realize this agenda and is aligned with the parent municipality on Vision 2058. To this end, Aspire has restructured its organization to be responsive to this mandate. Aspire has developed strategic partnerships, especially around digital literacy and unearthing the talent within the film and television development sector, by ensuring that there is direct investment in the value chain of these industries. With all the investment undertaken by Aspire in the last 3 years, the development agency's future is focusing on creating a dynamic economy through industry expansion and cultivation, capitalizing on the artificial and natural endowments that we have within our space. Aspire aims to ensure that the skills base built through digital skills initiatives is in place to guarantee the absorption of jobs created by these various industries. It also wishes to ensure there is sustainable infrastructure and property development that will bring about much sustainability. In order to seize the opportunities presented by the fourth industrial revolution, everyone must have access to broadband connectivity, even in the furthest parts of our districts, to move towards a prosperous and a smart Amathole district.
Thank you very much. I would like to call on the podium Prof. Adendorf, the chairperson of the board, for the Aspire overview.
Good morning, everybody. On this positive morning, hope all is well. Allow me to give greetings to our Honorable Mayor of Amathole District Municipality, Councillor Manelli, Honorable Mayor of Great Kaya Local Municipality, Councillor Tekile. Thank you very much for the kind words, Your Honorable. Our Board of Directors at Aspire, Honorable Councillors that's on the platform, our Honorable Municipal Manager, Dr. Tandikile Nyimba, and his executive team, those present and that's on the platform. All our staff at Aspire Development Agency, we shouldn't forget that because we are their team, and all our guests on the virtual platform, all protocol observed. Good morning, everybody. The purpose of this session is to reflect on the current term of the board and communicating the work that's been undertaken by us as an entity. The session is for us to enhance the conversation on redefining the role of development agencies within the fourth industrial revolution. This is more relevant, ladies and gentlemen, with our economic recovery plan that must be implemented post-COVID-19 pandemic as we know it. But let's have a look and reflect on the historical successes of Aspire Development Agency. Because as you know, as futurists, we like to backcast a little bit because we can't forecast until we do some little bit of backcasting to be precise. Amathole District Municipality established Amathole District Development Agency known as Aspire during 2005. And as part of fulfilling its constitutional obligation of socio-economic development for the district. Its focus was on small town regeneration in areas of agriculture, tourism, and infrastructure as we know it. However, Aspire became a leader in defining local economic development in local government and managed to shift policy and conditions of a grant allocation from urban focus to more of a rural focus through securing 295 million for the neighborhood developmental grant by National Treasury. The following projects were implemented as part of within our local municipalities. Firstly, in Ngqushwa local municipality in a town called Hamburg, we spent 44.2 million rand in an Mtonjeni artist retreat, which is an artist residency to position Hamburg as a niche destination for art and cultural lovers and artists alike. We also spent 16 million rand in a Hamburg town center upgrade to create a vibrant social and economically functioning heart of the Hamburg, where residents can enjoy better access to civic and commercial, as well as recreational social services as we know it. Secondly, in the Raymond and Schlaba local municipality in a town called Alice, we spent 17.2 million rand in a CBD upgrade. And the upgrade was for civic core of the town and the heritage park that was developed. We also spent 4.3 million rand, ladies and gentlemen, in a pedestrian bridge and the construction of a pedestrian bridge to link Lovedale College, Victoria Hospital, and 2 high schools in the center of the town. Thirdly, we spent 15 million rand on the taxi rank and transport hub to upgrade the taxi rank, including the office and social facilities as we know it. Thirdly, in the Amathole local municipality in Stuttenheim, we spent 28.4 million rand in upgrades and improvements to improve town functionality, such as wheelchair access to pavements, street benches, dustbins, LED street lights, construction and grey square, paving and repair of pavements, expansion of taxi rank, and installation of roof structure. We also spent 16.3 million rand, ladies and gentlemen, in a Kumakala bridge, the construction of a new bridge and road linking Stuttenheim town and Mlungise township, and new streetlights to increase pedestrian safety. We also spent 49 million rand, ladies and gentlemen, in a Mlungise community commercial park. It's a development of a community park as a vehicle for economic development, not only for local businesses, but also as a means to provide for community development where residents could access social services such as post office, library, youth center, community hall, and satellite police station. The development was unfortunately damaged during the riot action. Then in Dakana, we spent establishment of a household ecological support cooperative that assisted with the establishment of a number of households based food gardens in Dakana and surrounding villages. And the main focus was to improve the livelihoods of our local community through ensuring food security, total of 100 members distributed between 5 villages in that actual area. We spent 35.3 million rand, ladies and gentlemen, in Keiskammahoek on the blueberry outgrowers. And the aim is to establish a blueberry industry in the Eastern Cape, merging farmers to participate in the blueberry growing cluster and thereby become viable commercial farmers. And to make the land more available, landowners benefit from at lease payments from the blueberry community. And lastly, in the Nguma local municipality in Butterworth, ladies and gentlemen, we spent 17.2 million rand in the CBD upgrade. And the interventions was to reduce congestions in the CBD and as long as the N2 national route, including development of a market square, installation of hawker kiosks, pedestrian facilities, upgrade of storm damage, and supply of garbage bins. These projects, ladies and gentlemen, were handed over to the local municipalities. And it was unfortunately sad that in Stadtland, most of the property was vandalized during the community protests. And we are hoping that the local municipality will be able to revitalize those properties for their intended purposes. But as the old saying goes, ladies and gentlemen, and as a board, we always focus on positivity. When it rains, we look for that rainbow. When it's dark, we're looking for the stars. So I'm very confident that we will actually get things back on the roll again. Aspire was appointed as the implementing agent for the National Development and Environmental Affairs Project on natural resource management, adopt a spot to the value of 11 million rand. So let's have a look at the alignment with our parent municipality, namely Amathole District Municipality, long-term vision of envisioning an Amathole smart district towards 2058. It's a 40-year prognosis catering for 2 generations. And during 2019, the parent municipality expanded the scope of Aspire to be beyond small town regeneration, to district-wide economic growth and development, our main mandate. In achieving this, ladies and gentlemen, Aspire was mandated to be the implementing agent for over 11 catalytic projects and other projects of strategic importance. This process involves the development of bankable and credible business plans as well as resource mobilization. Thus far, Aspire has been instrumental in the development of 5 major developments. Firstly, it's about the resurfacing and upgrading of the provincial and access road network as part of the integrated transport system to a value of 11.8 billion rand. An initial application was made to the budget facility for infrastructure during 2020, with a resubmission made in this year in 2021 at National Treasury, and we are awaiting a positive feedback. This project is key in improving the district socioeconomic development and serving various points of interest, such as social, for instance, our schools, our clinics, our police stations, and getting people to school and back to home, and also the general route to markets, as well as economic, ladies and gentlemen, tourism facilities, agriculture, heritage attractions, natural reserves, and many more. Secondly, in closing the digital divide and empowering Amathole District's municipal communities with new skills that allow them to participate in a new world of smart things. Aspire has made an application to the budget facility for infrastructure for broadband connectivity for the entire district. We are still awaiting feedback, ladies and gentlemen, in this regard, but we are very positive in the outcome. Further to this, we are in the process of finalizing our partnership with Broadband Infoco to advance this project. Thirdly, ladies and gentlemen, an application to the budget facility of infrastructure for the Aqua Solar Hybrid Powered Seawater Desalination Plant. And it's estimated at the figure of 5.2 billion rand. Has been made as part of the integrated marine precinct and seawater desalination plant catalytic project. The Aqua Solar Power Plant and Seawater Desalination Plant, ladies and gentlemen, is not only a large strategic infrastructure project of importance for Amathole District, but the entire Eastern Cape, province for domestic consumption as we know it, as well as socioeconomic development due to that it is sustainable to withstand the periods of drought that we currently experience, which the district is prone to and having been declared state of disaster declared by Amathole District Municipality since 2015, and not also declared by the Eastern Cape Province government. Fourthly, ladies and gentlemen, further to this, Aspire supported our parent municipality in the development and submission of funding application in the construction of Foxfoot Dam, in ensuring a long-term sustainable resource of water for domestic consumption, as well as socio-economic development in Adelaide, which can withstand the periods of droughts as we're experiencing it. Fifthly, Aspire has also developed the SMME Development and Innovation Hub business plan, known as Startup Amathole, which seeks to develop a broad and cohesive framework focused on startups, scale-ups, initiatives, ladies and gentlemen, that will accelerate economic growth within Amathole District Municipality. An application has been made to CEDA, the State Enterprise Development Agency, and we are confident for a favorable feedback as we know it. Therefore, over and above the development of bankable business plans and resource mobilization, Aspire has positioned ADM as a film destination, as choice, as part of creative sector, contributing to the socio-economic development through film and television development. In 2020, ladies and gentlemen, Aspire, in partnership with ADM and ECDC, secured the filming of the series called The Dam, which is currently showcasting on Showmax. This investment of 700,000 Rand by Aspire made it possible for 11 SMMEs to have a direct benefit in filming of the series. Of more than 451 persons were employed of our communities. Further to this, Aspire together with ECDC, Mushwa Local Municipality and ADM have secured the filming of the iTemba Season 2 in Hamburg, which will commence filming in January of 2022. Aspire calls therefore upon local business enterprises to position themselves in seizing the opportunities presented by this investment. There is dire need for local supplies in our inputs and film production equipment. Also, accommodation and meals, as well as security, fleet management, health and safety industries to support the filming of the series. In promoting the digital literacy as part of the digital transformation agenda, ladies and gentlemen, Aspire has partnered with various partners in hosting hackathons as part of promoting innovation and creativity in addressing service delivery challenges faced by our district and local municipalities alike. From these initiatives, ADM has taken up the solution of indigent registration as part of digitizing our business processes. In addition, we'll be entering into a partnership with Kawuleza Program Management Office, the PMO, in the Eastern Cape Socioeconomic Consultative Council, namely EXEC, in digital transformation and make the most of partnerships with NIMISA and Microsoft South Africa in implementing these programs. So let's have a look at Aspire repositioning and transformation strategy that were developed. Since 2019, ladies and gentlemen, Aspire has been implementing our repositioning and transformation strategy to ensure that it's an appropriate vehicle to implement the mandate and expanded scope by our parent municipality. This was to ensure that the 5-year strategic plan of Aspire is being implemented as per its short, medium, and long-term outlook. And the principles of repositioning and transformational strategy are based on the premise of the structure, systems, processes, and very importantly, on human resources. This far, ladies and gentlemen, our board has approved a revised organizational structure to respond to the 5-year strategic plan. And currently, the job creating process and migration to new structure will be implemented during the first half of the 2021-2022 financial year. Aspire has also improved our audit outcome from a qualification to an unqualified audit with only one matter of emphasis. The executive management team has done well in improving this indicator of good governance and will continue to improve its internal control environment in striving for clean governance as well as a clean audit. Rest assured. In the year under audit, Aspire has achieved 100% performance of our targets as per the institutional scorecard. This is a major achievement, ladies and gentlemen, and I can't recall, Honorable MM, whether this ever was achieved in the past. So it's a major achievement for us as a board. In terms of the future of Aspire Development Agency, ladies and gentlemen, the current term of the board is coming to an end in December 2021. And a parent municipality will be commencing with the recruitment of a new board. As this board, we have laid the foundation for Aspire positioning itself as an implementation agent of economic growth and development strategy of our district. The major focus for the next phase of the 5-year strategic plan is on industrialization as part of the district-wide COVID-19 economic recovery. Amathole District Municipality has substantial untapped resources at our disposal. We must never forget that. There are substantial underdeveloped land assets that are amendable to maize production. The area contains some of the largest land parcels that can be utilized for dryland maize production. While additional maize production at scale may disturb current price levels, other viable outlets and other additional production of the primary source can be set as a foundation which benefication-based industries in manufacturing and energy can be developed and sustained. Maize is only but one agricultural product for this. When we backcast, ladies and gentlemen, when it was still the Ciskei and Transkei, maize was a major factor in our district. ADM has substantial potential in renewable energy, and we need to realize that. And it's necessary to set out the foundations for this emerging industry. There are strong possibilities, ladies and gentlemen, for the use of wind, solar, as well as biogas, bioenergy, and waste options. It will also be prudent to have the full diverse mix of all these options. With desalination in a project currently under development. The most likely other component, ladies and gentlemen, that presents low-hanging fruit and relatively easy setting up is waste to energy, where we can harness several waste sources in a single hub. These will include bio-waste, wastewater, sludges, and other wastages with high calorific values being harnessed in a clean, environmentally friendly configuration. This can set the scene for later integration with agricultural produce such as maize and other sustainable crops that will broaden such an energy hub to a large-scale initiative. Aspire will be initiating sustainable institutional arrangements that will drive and coordinate the planning and implementation of industry in our ADM and the opportunities presented in the value chain as we know it. Aspire will continue, ladies and gentlemen, with the implementation of the digital transformation agenda and ensure that the people of Amathole have the appropriate skills and knowledge to update opportunities presented by the establishment and development of new industries in line with a prosperous and smart Amathole district catering for 2 generations. I thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Prof, for that overview of Aspire and illustrating the history of where Aspire is coming from and how it capitalizes on the skills base and the knowledge that it accumulated as the lead in local economic development. In one meeting where the former Deputy Minister of COGTA, who he's now the MEC in Gauteng, Mr. Dau, the Honorable Dau, he indicated that as SALGA, all municipalities were looking up to Aspire in terms of what is meant by local economic development. Further to that, he appreciated the fact that Aspire was willing to tackle head-on the policy shift of the use and the conditions attached to the neighborhood development grant, and that the conditions of that particular grant are also for small towns regeneration within a rural district municipality. And indeed, as the Prof has already alluded, Aspire is continuing again to move beyond a definition of what would constitute a development agency. It has taken its its repositioning and transformation strategy to another level to ensure that there's appropriate alignment to the parent municipality. Perhaps as one of the information that we could share in this platform is that Vision 2058 is based on the premise that we want to bring about change for 2 generations to come. Majority of the population in Amathole District Municipality is between 0 and 14 and 15 and 25 years of age. We want to curtail the challenges of this province being a labor-sending province and afford the opportunities for the emancipation and dealing with the triple challenges of unemployment, poverty, and inequality within the district. Further to this, Vision 2058 of the parent municipality clearly articulates the 4 visions that it wants to achieve as it's moving towards 2058, of being a dynamic rural economy in capitalizing on the fact that we are rural in our nature. Further to this, it wants to be the most sustainable district in curtailing the challenges which are currently being faced as a result of the 21st century threats and also aspects around climate change. As most of you know, ladies and gentlemen, Amathole is one of the drought-stricken districts within Eastern Cape and within the country. And this has made the provision of water as a very scarce commodity and therefore resulting in unreliable water supply. So solutions such as the aqua solar hybrid seawater desalination plant and utilizing the technologies and the opportunities that are being presented by the 4th Industrial Revolution make it possible to move towards this sustainable district. Further to this, another vision of the parent municipality in terms of its long-term plan is to be a just and equitable district, to provide equal opportunities, to ensure that these industries that Prof has just alluded to are being afforded for our communities to uptake. Hence, within the Vision 2058 catalytic projects, you get the training academy and you also get the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics skills academy as but part of inputs of those skills into ensuring that there is an uptake by the community. And lastly, this is a 40-year prognosis. So therefore, it's to be a resilient district, to ensure that all the infrastructure, the innovation, the creativity that has been put forth by the parent municipality and the development agency in terms of the projects is then achieved. So in a nutshell, I'm hoping that the executive mayor has managed to connect with us. Perhaps the technical team can advise me. They are asking for 5 minutes to connect. I'm going to request that we take a comfort break of 5 minutes while we're technically getting the executive mayor onto the platform, and then we can proceed with the message of support from the parent municipality. Thank you very much. Saying we're gonna move with the panelists while we're still trying to get the mayor. Okay. Okay. Okay, welcome back, and thank you very much for allowing us to go into a comfort break. We are still having some technical challenges with our executive mayor, but as soon as we get him, we are going to be able to proceed. I do see on the chats that we've already got our members of the panel for our next segment of the program for today. And one of the reasons we are bringing forth is to enhance discussion and start to look at the role of development agencies in terms of long-term economic growth, and also defining the concept around wealth creation for local communities within the fourth industrial revolution. There's been a lot of talk about what then becomes the role of the district development agencies, and now that the district development model is also being implemented. So perhaps one of our panelists will be able to look into that. But moreover, it's the issues around the future that we desire, the future that we want to reach, and also how do we realize Vision 2058 as Aspire Development Agency. The panelists for today's session, we've got Professor Meyer. Professor Meyer is with the College of Business and Economics at the University of Johannesburg. He is also specializing in regional and local economic development analysis and also policy development. He's got extensive research and in multidisciplinary areas through a combination of development economics and also public management and public governance. During his academic career, Prof. Meyer has received a number of awards, which include, amongst others, the most inspiring lecture in 2012. He's also received an award for the Vice Chancellor's Award for Community Engagement. He's also received an award as well as the most productive senior researcher at the Northwest University Vaal campus in 2016, 17, and 18. And his motto in life is give more than you take. So we've got him as part of our panelists today in terms of looking at the future of the development agencies and how is it that those development agencies can position themselves. The second member of our panelists is Dr. Riel Meyer. He is the head of Futures Literacy at UNESCO, which is the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, where he is the world leading authorities on the theory and practice of utilizing future to change how people see what people see and what they do. He is specializing on various topics where he's presented in terms of from the future of the internet to the transformation of strategic processes. Then lastly, we've got Mr. Papa Mamngadi, who is part of the Black Business Management Forum. He is within the space of the cultural sector, and further to that, he is an architect by profession. So these members of the panelists will be engaging us today with their different perspectives, and I would like to take this opportunity to ask Dr. Miller if he could lead the discussions. Over to you, Dr. Miller. Good morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, you are audible. Is the sound okay? Is it a bit rough?
Does it sound okay?
Okay. I think if you can proceed, Dr. Miller.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you very much for this invitation. I'm honored and very pleased to be with you today. The topic that you're addressing is one, of course, of central importance.
Sorry, Dr. Miller. Sorry to disturb you. I think we're having a bit of a sound challenge this side. Can I just get an indication from the technical team?
One, two, one, two. Can you hear me? I'm just trying to. Would it help if I can get closer to the microphone, or should I speak up? I can speak up. Would it be helpful if I speak louder? One, two, one, two. One, two, one, two. Speaking. Testing the microphone. One, two, one, two. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? I can't hear you. One, two, one, two. Unfortunately, I'm afraid that
Can you?
can you, one, two, can you hear me now? If I speak
Yes,
louder?
we can hear you, Prof.
Go ahead. Should I go ahead? Can you hear me? One, two, one, two. I can't hear you, I'm afraid.
You can't hear me. Can you hear me
One,
now?
two, one, two. I can hear you very, very vaguely. I guess we're having sound problems on all sides. Should I proceed or?
I think proceed. If you could proceed, we'll try to sort out the sound challenges on our side.
Okay, I will speak up and use a loud voice to talk about this important issue. So as I was saying, it's a great honor to be here, and it's a very important topic, obviously, for us to be considering today. This issue of how to think about development and how to think about the aspirations of specific communities is one that is, of course, important around the world. The work that we have been doing at UNESCO in order to understand how these images of the future are part of the world around us has been oriented towards asking some questions about the origins of these images of the future. What are the words, the language, the concepts, the frames that we use in order to understand what we are aspiring to? And I want to draw attention to the fact that for a very long time, the challenge has been how to imagine the future. And the question here is not one of going to the future or knowing the future by being directly generating or gathering evidence. The issue here is really one of how the images of the future, the way we describe the future, what words do we use? What stories do we tell? And I think it's something that is evidently an important role for a UN organization like UNESCO to be able to gather the knowledge from around the world and appreciate the diversity of the different ways and different reasons for imagining the future. And here's where I think it's quite crucial to explore the underlying sources of the images of the future. And I want to draw attention to the historical role that has been played by those who claim to know the future, who claim to exemplify the future. Obviously, in the context of the history that we know, where we see very impressive images and very impressive achievements of places and cities like London, New York, Tokyo, where we see the immense achievements of places like Silicon Valley. These become exemplars. They become the sources, the feedstock for our images of the future. And what we've noticed as we explore and work to co-create images of the future with people from all around the world is that many of these images are not actually drawn from their own context, their own history, their own path, and do not in fact even correspond to the aspirations that many people feel in their own local community. And it might seem curious because you say, how is it possible that people do not wish for the futures that are their own, meaning that come from them? Why is it that they adopt or accept or defer to images of the future that come from elsewhere, from other people? And of course, to a certain extent, it is very natural. When you think of a child and a child imagines its future, initially, a child will imagine its future based on adults, based on their parents, based on other siblings or friends or heroes, sports heroes or others. And of course, this image of the future is very powerful. And we wear the clothes of our heroes and we take on the behavior of our heroes. But eventually, as I think everybody here understands, you become aware that this image of who you are, your future, is in fact not your future at all. That you must source your own idea of the future. You must invest your own hopes in something that comes from you and not from somebody else. And in that sense, for communities, it's the same challenge. Futures literacy, which is the idea of a capability, the capacity to imagine the future and understand how and why and the impact of those images of the future, which is immense. It's the image of the future that orients you in very practical ways. If you want to cook fish for dinner, you imagine cooking fish for dinner, you have to go and buy the fish. It's something very tangible, the image of the future. If you believe that the prosperity of your children is based on them investing and you investing in learning to read and write, then you will make that investment. It's a very tangible act that we all make based on the future. So when it comes then to sourcing our images of the future, futures literacy is about enhancing our capacity to imagine, but also enhancing our capacity on the basis of understanding where our stories come from. What is the idea of the hero's voyage or the hero's journey? What is our idea of the role of the leader? What is our idea of somebody else's image of the future that's meant to reassure us? Do we adopt an attitude towards the future which says, if I can't control the future, if I can't eliminate uncertainty, if I can't fulfill my plans and make my plans come to fruition, then I failed, and then I'm frightened, and then I'm angry when surprises like COVID or the disruption of climate extinction alter my plans or disrupt my plans or make me throw away my plans. And one of the issues here is really fundamentally about reconsidering, rethinking the way we imagine the future, how we imagine the future, and becoming much better able to both integrate planning, which we obviously still need to do because we all still want to have fish for dinner, but also open to improvisation, to the surprises, to the richness of difference and creativity. And again, this is where futures literacy as a capability is fundamental. So when I hear, and see images, which are very seductive and very powerful. And I'll use one from Hollywood that resonated a great deal in many parts of the world, which is the fantastic work that Hollywood did in developing an image like Wakanda, which was the Black Panther Marvel Comics image of the future. And I think that these are incredible expressions of the human creative ability, our ability to create fiction. But the question becomes, what does this actually embody? What does it actually aspire to? And how do those aspirations find resonance in the history and context and meaning of a specific and local community? So again, I just want to thank you very much for this opportunity to relate a little bit about what futures literacy is all about. We've been running futures literacy laboratories, which develop people's capacity to think about the future all around the world. I think that you have a very ambitious and very kind of diverse conception that you're working on with Aspire here. And I really hope that we can infuse and enhance that effort through the futures literacy activities that we might be able to do together with UNESCO and with the UN in general. So I'll end there and hope that we can have a good and open discussion. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Miller, for that thought-provoking questions that you're posing onto us. And I think this is the beginning of a conversation on how do we imagine our future. In as much as the district municipality has been bestowed the mandate of planning, but one of the cornerstones of local government is public participation. How do we get our communities to define the future that they want? And in as much as we have the exposure and the resources at disposal to help with defining this future, how do we capitalize on indigenous knowledge to ensure that when we're talking of a seawater desalination plant within the context of the fourth industrial revolution, that indigenous knowledge that was there previously, Prof, is then being part of these processes of the construction and the operationalization in terms of provision of water security. I would like to take this opportunity to then call on Professor Meyer, if he could take the platform and he could present his perspectives in terms of the future that we need to reimagine, and also the role of developmental local government and development agencies in the fourth industrial revolution. Thank you. Switch off your video on your side. Thank you. Can we then get Prof. Meyer?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, you're audible. We can hear you. The platform is yours. Prof. Mayor? Okay, while Prof. Mayor is still trying to sort out the technical challenges that he might have on his side, can we get Mr. Mngadi from the Black Management Forum to take the platform in terms of this panel discussion? Because we know that through organizations, it is easier to then get the voice of sectors in a coordinated manner. And of course, it is easier to engage so that when we are redefining this future, we're also able to capture their perspectives in terms of the smart district. And also, as these organized business formations and also these organized forums, they're able to uptake the opportunities and the investments that are being made by Aspire. The Prof has already alluded to but one of the investments that we made with the filming of the series The Dam, which is currently showcasing on Showmax. And one of the things that we picked up was the non-existence of certain enterprises within the province to uptake that opportunities. And most of those enterprises were then coming from outside of the district and also outside of the province. Can I head over to you, Mr. Mngadi, for your opportunity while we're trying to get Professor Mayer back online. Mr. Mngadi? Please unmute yourself and switch on your video. We can see you are on the panel. Okay, there we go. Thank you very much for joining us. The floor is yours. We can't hear you. Can you unmute yourself, please? We can see you talking. Can you activate the audio on your cell phone? Because that's the device that you're connected with. You are, okay. Okay, testing 1 2 1 2. Can you bring your feedback? We can't hear you this side. Can you unmute on the laptop device that you are going to be presenting from? Okay. No, we still can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Perfect. Now we are audible. The platform is yours.
Okay, I hope there's no delay. All right. Let me just get this right here. Well, good morning, CEO and fellow guests and fellow panelists. Greetings to the Honorable Executive, the Mayor, and all the directors and the management of Aspire, all protocol observed. It is a privilege of mine to represent the Black Management Forum of the Eastern Cape at this session today. I always have to explain that we are a civil society organization. We are a non-partisan forum. We are a thought leadership and managerial development organization. Because I think it's always important to clarify that, because sometimes we are misconstrued as a political party, if you like. So our role really is to be players within the conversations that matter in driving our societal aspirations forward. I thought I'd start out by categorizing our province in response to the documents that were sent to us for this session. The Eastern Cape is a very interesting province in that it's an elastic province. It exports a lot of its talent to the rest of the country and perhaps the globe, and gets to enjoy the return of that human capital in Easter, in December, and the like. And I think the interesting thing is that when you think about an entity like Aspire and the Amathole District Municipality, you have to think about the historical context of the Eastern Cape. And I think this will add value following on from Dr. Miller's presentation around future literacies. And our attempt here is to really give you an on-the-ground sense of how those literacies can enable us to imagine the future. The Eastern Cape emerges out of the new formation of 1984 as a merger of the two former homeland governance systems, the Ciskei and the Transkei, and perhaps the Republic of South Africa. The Amathole region is one of those that bear the brunt of this merger, inheriting the rural. That divide then informs the manner in which access to networked infrastructure rolls out. The state is also committed to a modernity-based and a centralist mode in a duality between rural and micro-urban. The state also focuses on stocks and forms, bricks and mortar, if you like, rather than flows. The dominant image that seems to be driving the mind's eye of the decision makers seems to be the major urban centers of Johannesburg, Cape Town, Durban, and the like. The idea of turning the rural context like Amathole into perhaps an urban one. We find this problematic. The development agencies are hamstrung by this tension, which stems from the political economy. There is also an interesting tension here. The map of Amathole shows a split between the overall geographical area and that area that encompasses what we know as BCM. Now, I'd like Gary to go forward with the slides. I see he's projecting my slides. I'm on the one with the Google map. Okay, it's taking long on my side to project. I'll continue, CEO, to not delay the proceedings. And for us, this has some interesting tensions built into it, in that the metropolitan municipality that is embedded within this geographical area obviously has its own development objectives and aspirations and its own mode of governance and its own mannerisms within which it interacts with the business community, the investment prospects of the region, and perhaps even the globe. We see this as an inbred tension. Without perhaps knowing too much about the interworkings between the Amathole municipality and the BCM, for argument's sake, we as a forum would seek to learn more about how best to ensure that there is more of a collaborative spirit between these important bodies that determine our collective futures in the region. And so we have a problem description that we perhaps posit to this discussion. And that is to say, the rural regions of the province bear the highest burden in regards to basic educational and other forms of infrastructure, support and services backlogs. There's a statistic that says, for instance, 60% of South Africa is both unserved and underserved by providers of support and services. And so we see our current challenge and the challenge that should inform the vision of the Amathole and the Aspire outlook as one where a governance system that applies homogeneous rules to a heterogeneous context of the lack of access to support and services and infrastructure within the Eastern Cape. And so a goal statement should perhaps be to say that there should be a delivery configuration of infrastructure and support and services for the Eastern Cape to accelerate the access to these desired outcomes, if you like. All right, I just need to move on here. And furthermore, our outlook would like to point Amathole towards the outlook of the entrepreneurial state. Mariano Mazzucato, one of the advisors of the president, is one who writes this book titled Entrepreneurial State. And some of our thinking is informed by the interaction with that text. We observe that the state overemphasizes infrastructure investment in the bricks and mortar sense. The consequence is that those investments yield limited activity for entrepreneurship on the ground. The main focus becomes procurement by the state and less indirect support and ecosystem enablement. I was quite delighted when the chair of the board spoke about the Startup Hub and various other programs such as the film and so on, and I'll expand on them later. The main focus then, knowledge production, the conception of a rural university, for instance, is seen only in urban terms. That is, the access to knowledge for us seems to be only seen in terms of the thinking that still locks into the traditional universities that are found in the urban areas, very far flung from the rural communities that Amathole services. And the question is, with the existence of the TVETs and the FET ecosystem, how could we leverage that into a more of a decentralized and rural type university model, especially in a post-COVID paradigm? State investments have also been declining in this province. Yet this is the very same province that is highly dependent on state transfers. This needs to change. ESD spend and CSI spend of investors in the region is bound to be caught in political economy tensions. For instance, as we demonstrated earlier, who do you invest in? The BCM and the BCM Development Agency, or Aspire and the Amathole region when you come to this part of this world? So this is bound to create a jostling for resources and is perhaps calling for the likes of Aspire to look beyond our shores and drive aggressive investor locking strategies, perhaps to the east when we think about rural development, and perhaps to the west when we think about some of the urban footprint of Amathole. Development agencies get no autonomy to go to market, as we observe, and find themselves contesting with their mother municipalities to outdo one another. And this is a challenge that we pose to SALGA in terms of fostering better cooperation in the interests of collective development. Get the political house in order, we say. The domestic mandate should probably be that of the municipalities themselves. And the mandate of going to market should be that given to the agencies themselves. In thinking about this, one need only look at case studies such as our SEZs, the ALIDZ and KUGA, for instance. Those are state-owned corporations that seem to have the kind of agility to react to the forces in the global markets. Our agencies should be functioning at that level and no less. We in the BMF are concerned about the state as a burial ground of careers of professionals. It is often the Black professional who bears the brunt of any corruption scandal. And we are now skeptical of encouraging our members to take up managerial positions in the state. If for the likes of Amathole, as you will read in their strategic documents, for them to turn around their image and become investor friendly, we need to get rid of the stench of bad reputation that they might have inherited in the past. And we cannot continue to rehash the lack of trustworthiness of these entities at the expense of the poor and the majority. If what we need is a second CODESA to sit down and address all these things that cast doubt on these institutions, then we should do so as in yesterday, so that we can get on with the work of developing the country and moving forward. Eastern nations are more prone to respond to our rural investments, as we've said, and we do believe that the modern and urban initiatives are probably going to find expression in the West. But in looking at the strategy and in having highlighted that the state priorities look a lot more at the bricks and mortar investments, we would like to turn your attention to tourism, a flows-oriented investment sector, one that probably requires less bricks and mortar investments, but one that carries the hopes of many SMMEs and entrepreneurs in the region, because it is through tourism that our investors will come into this part of the world. And it is through tourism that they will see the opportunities that exist in the region. And so we need to do a lot more in your strategy documents to articulate in real terms what tourism can do for this region. As a conduit sector with the likes of the creative economy, the oceans economy, agriculture, circular renewables, and many other forms, so that we can start interacting with their futures in less elusive but more tangible ways. We need to connect our image of the future with the present that our people can understand in their daily activities and their daily transactions. This will complement tourism. The infrastructure exists, ladies and gentlemen. We need to invest in youth-owned startups. We need to leverage our BPO prospects in this part of the world. And as I said earlier, the chair of the board has already alluded to some of the interventions, such as the Startup Hub. Towards wrapping up on my side, I will then say, here are the most tangible points that we would like to see Amathole move towards. We need to think more around the science, maths, and arts district, the smart district. Our smart notions need not only look at the ICT sector as the barometer of focus. We need to leverage the strong capabilities we already have in the creative and cultural industries in this part of the world. We need a STEAM outlook and not a STEM outlook. We need a STEAM academy. We can no longer afford the arts and the cultural sectors to be left behind state investments that purport to be about unlocking development prospects for our young people's futures. And our notion of STEM will be outdated very quickly if it will leave behind the large scores of creatives in the arts sector. The tendency to invest in the film sector is already a sign that Amathole is cognizant of these prospects. But what we are arguing for here is a blended outlook that complements with the tourism strategy and comes up with a more comprehensive outlook that is all-inclusive to these sectors and leaves no one behind. Aspire's thought leadership endeavor must leverage the forums and not carry on without them. The country is not talking enough. And we applaud you for this initiative of today, but it is not nearly enough, but should be seen as an important beginning. We need to get unemployed youth to teach English online to meet the demand in the Eastern economies. Taiwan, for instance, wants to be a bilingual nation by 2030. We have large scores of unemployed graduates here who have good command of English, who just need a laptop and some Wi-Fi connection to be able to service that demand. This is the posture of an entrepreneurial state that we need. Our state investments must also consider investing in ventures of people and not just entities. I will use the example of three personalities that people will know. We have a character here from the area of Ngushwa or Pedi, which is under the Amathole region, a young man by the name of Dumza Maswana, whose voice is traversing the globe. What would it take for the state to invest in a Dumza Maswana, a Msaki, a Perita, a Zahara, and propel them to the global stage, both in film and in their forte of the arts and music? An example of this would be to think about the exploded brand that is world-renowned South African DJ, Black Coffee. Here is a man who owns assets in New York and various parts of the globe, an ordinary South African. What would it have taken if the state had funded the career of the like of a Black Coffee? What would his net worth mean for the return on investment of the state? So our investment outlook must not only think about the fixed outlook of institutions, entities, and bricks and mortar types infrastructure. It must start thinking about the influences that we have from our part of the world. And we must deploy state investment to get them to the globe to fetch us returns. They must trade globally in the BRICS and the Africa Free Trade continental area. UNESCO, for instance, can unlock creative cities for us and knowledge economies, as well as add to our BPO prospects. Our education modeling needs new modalities of decentralized classrooms, for instance. Startup Amathole carries the hopes of the youth. Film must leverage the film hub and look at existing entrepreneurs. The Mtonjeni space, for instance, must be handed to creatives, perhaps on a lease basis, to manage and go to market and bring returns for the state. These emerging sectors must deploy our talented youth, and our parents who are in charge must make it their historic mission. There must be an aggressive strategy to go and fetch capital from the globe. In closing, CEO, I would like to contribute here today a framework of thinking that should hopefully assist us in looking forward at our rural context. What we seem to have in South Africa is a struggle on how to govern heterogeneous contexts. And for that, I would like to propose the work of Olivier de Sardin, who argues for something called the delivery configuration. And the delivery configuration of a good is a series of equipment and resources, actors and institutions that act directly or indirectly in both co-production and collaboration, and even substitution to bring about a particular outcome or service. And so when we think about bringing infrastructure to our decentralized communities that don't have access to grid infrastructure, we must think about them in terms of delivery configuration. Access to water, for instance, should go beyond our modern notions of what it is to access infrastructure. Access to energy, for instance, is now being confronted by the need to look for alternatives and move away from dependency on the grid only. We need to think about households that are cooking with gas, that are using PV, that are using solar water heaters. And we need to see that as a more decentralized model of access to energy, and not so much thinking of it as grid-based, centralist, as we have seen in our cities. With this kind of outlook, Amathole will be best placed to deal in a context-specific manner with the regions that it services. It does say in its strategy that it must utilize expertise from various fields with the collective aim of developing solutions that will increase economic productivity, protect natural resources and livelihoods, and minimize the sector's negative effects on the environment and humans. This also gives an indication of the level of complexity that development efforts in the field of economics have to deal with. We need to explode our idea of development to one where all professions have their hands on deck. And the BMF and its network of professionals and entrepreneurs is ready to work with Amathole and many other stakeholders to unlock these prospects. Thank you so much, CEO.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mngadi, for those pointers. But indeed, one of the things that is coming quite strongly is that we need to be in a position to appeal to the young people in terms of how they contribute and how they would benefit from economic growth and development of the district, and how the sector of the creative arts and also the creative industries are critical to that. And perhaps to share with the platform, one of the things that Aspire had managed to implement in terms of projects was to host a local hackathon. And through that local hackathon, we're able to come up with various smart solutions in terms of dealing with service delivery challenges. And the district municipality has uptaken one of those smart solutions in terms of indigent registration. Now, if you're within the space of local government and the calculation of the equitable share, formulas, etc., that then becomes a credible platform within which we can collate that data to improve our decision making and our lobbying for funding from the national spheres of government. Let me take this opportunity to hand over to Professor Meyer, who will then also perhaps look into the aspects of public infrastructure investment as a key to unlocking investment attraction. What's your take, Prof? Over to you.
All right. Hopefully you can hear me and see me better now. It looks like the internet is operating much better. Good morning to everybody, all the participants. As you've said, I'm Dani Meyer from the University of Johannesburg, from the College of Business and Economics. Congratulations to the board on firstly setting up this development agency, and secondly to keep it going. I think research in South Africa saying that many of these development agencies are struggling to operate. People are struggling to set them up and also to run them. So I think the board with the chairperson are doing a fantastic job just to keep on going, especially in this environment of the pandemic. It cannot be easy. So again, a job well done. I think the report presented by the chairperson, and I've also looked at your strategy, is a well-developed, integrated plan that will work. We are working with a rural region, which makes it even much more difficult to achieve successes. But you have achieved many successes, and those successes should motivate all of us, not only the board members or the community members, but all of us from everywhere in South Africa that supports local economic development and regional economic development. So well done doing that. In terms of structures in South Africa, we have established the Economic Development Council, ECDSA, a few years back to professionalize practitioners working in the space of local economic development and regional and development economics. So it is possible to become a member of this, and this whole initiative is driven by colleagues at the University of Johannesburg and other universities, as well as by government support. It is supported by government, and it is an accredited development board. So everybody can be members of that, even if you haven't got the correct qualifications. Through experience and through training, it's possible to become a member of ECDSA. Local government in South Africa is under huge strain at the moment, not only rural, but also even metropolitan municipalities. And we need well-operating local government and support structures around local government to be a success. That it depends on the local government success stories if we will have economic development and growth in South Africa. At the moment, we see mostly failure in terms of local government. About 80%, around about 80% of local government are struggling financially, are either on the way to be taken over by administrators or already taken over. Some provinces like Northwest Province, the whole of the province, all of the municipalities has been taken over, and there's administrators working with them. So we need excellent local government and well-trained people in the regions, as well as ethical governance in our municipalities. At the moment, we haven't got that everywhere. There is a massive problem in terms of that. For development agencies and for local economic development to be success, as part of my 2013 PhD thesis, I put something in there. It's called Feza Izamangalesu. I think it's a Zulu word, meaning we need a miracle. And I always do that when I do local economic development projects, strategies. We need a miracle because the funding is limited, the capacity is limited, the resources are limited. Sometimes we do development without funding, and that is also where we need a miracle. Looking back at a theoretical foundation for any study, in the 1940s, there was a guy, Rosenstein Roden. He developed the big push theory, and that was used by all of the Asian tiger countries to enable coordination between all role players, to have cooperation between role players. And that is what makes success, if there is cooperation and coordination in a region. And that is what the agency can do well, to bring people together. And in terms of local economic development, the role players are government and the local government, including the provincial government, the district municipality. So government is playing that main role, but also local business and also local communities. So there's three sets of role players, and if one of those sets of role players are not doing their part, the LED vehicle cannot move forward. So we need three well-oiled components of LED. If one is not there, there will not be a success. And the agency has got this role to coordinate everybody, to make sure everybody is involved in this, the business chambers, the communities, and government must be involved in this. And when you do your strategies, you should be focusing on the foundation strategies. That's for example, making sure the institutions are doing their job. And also the spatial plans are in place, that we know where can what be approved. There's policy certainty, so the foundation of everything should be there. Who must do that? What is the capacity, the resources to do your plans? And then the second part of the strategies will be which of the sectors in the region will be supported. Not all sectors are created equal. So some of the sectors have got comparative advantages, and those must be focused on. And then specific strategies are always important. For example, it was mentioned entrepreneurship development, but skills training, entrepreneurship, the township economies, the small towns needs to be supported. It's important service sectors for the economy. In terms of this rural region, which we've got here in the Amathole region, there's always leading and lagging regions. And we cannot maintain everything the same. The National Spatial Perspective, which is compiled, I think, 2007, said that leading regions must be further developed, but lagging regions should be maintained. And it seems like the lagging regions in South Africa has not been maintained. If you go to the small towns and everywhere, we need to maintain what we've got at least. And the regions which is leading, the leading regions, further development must take place, effective development to include inclusive growth for everybody. There is a new, or like a relatively new policy concept, the district development model. If it's going to work, we will see. They are currently testing it. I have got some problems with the model because I know the district municipalities has got a lack of capacity and resources. Funding is a problem there. So if they are well supported and capacitated, it could work. But then the three tiers or the three levels of role players must be involved to do that. The economic-based sectors is what makes a region successful. Those sectors that can bring in money into the region, it allows for exports. For example, agriculture in your region should be the main focus, linked to agro-processing, which will lead eventually to some industrial development. And also, because of your natural beauty, is the tourism sector. We know COVID has done a huge impact on all of on the tourism sector specifically, but we will get through that. By end of next year, we should be through this, and it will be like a normal, back to normal. We cannot say this is the new normal is the normal. It is not. We need to be going back to relatively normal situations. And Aspire, as indicated in this presentation by the chairperson, you have got short-term success projects, while there's also the long-term ones. The short-term one is extremely important to create confidence and pull in more people into that. So that is very important for me. Aspire's objectives are clear-cut, and in terms of your documents, strong governance is important, supply chain to link it, the linkage between the surrounding regions, because you've got many special economic zones like in the Buffalo City as well as Kuga. There's SEZs going by the government support. Infrastructure is your other objective, which is mainly one of the main priorities of government at the moment. Tonight, Infrastructure South Africa has got its opening night to launch the process, and hopefully some of the rural regions will also get infrastructure development. And tomorrow there's more discussions about this. So there's a panel discussion about rural versus urban infrastructure development in South Africa. I'll be on that panel, and hopefully we can have more focus on rural also, not only on the main urban areas in South Africa. So in terms of your objectives, you are spot on. It's going well. In terms of research that we do from the University of Johannesburg, which I also are driving, is the development of tools, how to measure economic development. I'm not going to go into those tools, but there's many of them. I think we've done 14, the only ones in the world that's there. It's unique. It's for South Africa. It's for developing countries. So maybe we can propose that we look at some of those tools, how to measure, how to test the enabling environment. How is the environment for small business in your region? We can test that and determine and see where's the shortcomings and assist with that. So for terms of research, we totally support Aspire because we can, and because our slogan is we give more than we take, we do it. We can do training in terms of LED for anybody that's interested. That will be done, as well as be part of community development. So that is what we can contribute. I think I've cut short a few things I wanted to say, but that's overall what I wanted to say. Thank you for this opportunity, and all of the best for the future for Aspire. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof, and thank you for your time. We do know that you are under immense pressure, and also with Dr. Miller, thank you very much as well for availing yourselves to get us into this discussion in terms of the development agencies and long-term economic growth and wealth creation for local communities within the fourth industrial revolution. I do note that there's been some activity happening in the chats. People have been commenting, and there's been some questions. And I also know that within our social media platforms, there's also been some questions. And I'm going to ask the team to assist me in actually bringing up some of those questions while we still have the panelists available, so that we're able to get their perspectives on certain issue. But there is a question that has stuck out in terms of the chat that is asking, how can the future be a source for hope, social innovation, and sustainable development for ADM citizens? And I think all the three speakers did touch on those elements in terms of the future that we would want, or the future reimagined within the context of being this rural district municipality. I see there is that question that I've just spoken to. Is there another question on the platform that we could perhaps put up before we hand over to the panelists to respond and for their final parting shots? Prof, may you please elaborate why you think the district development model will not work? I think that is just a question that is being posed in terms of how can we seize the opportunities. There's also another question on what are your perspectives on the development of Africa's future? And I think perhaps this is all the panelists, if they could also reflect on that. If we take one last question and then hand over back to the panelists for their responses. And I would also say that the people in the room can also ask questions as well. It's not necessarily only the platform wherein we can ask questions. There is a question on how can one get their own future aspirations across? Is there a platform that is able to listen and provide feedback? Perhaps let me take this opportunity to go back to the panel and start with you, Dr. Miller. Over to you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the other contributions, which I found fascinating. But I want to try and offer, I think, a response around the issue of hope, but also the question of models, which has to do with something that I think is really perhaps one of the most important messages of the world around us today, and that's that our planet is telling us something. And it's telling us something that is mostly provoked by those who are wealthy and who expended a huge amount of carbon being wealthy. And the planet has answered them, and the rest of us are hearing the message as well. But the issue here becomes one, I think, of fundamentally questioning the idea that we should plan the future. The idea that we should colonize tomorrow, that we should control the future, that the way in which we relate to the world around us is one of monumental, and I heard the word about infrastructure and heavy infrastructure, and the path dependency and the lack of agility that entails. But to me, it's quite a bit more than that as well. It's the question, again, of where we source the hope. If we source the hope from McKinsey or an international consulting company, even if we source hope from international goals that are set by the international community, we are still setting those goals in a way which I think, in some ways, denies and, in fact, disempowers people. And so this is a lesson, and I can say I'm at the end of a career as an international civil servant. I started my working life in 1982 at the OECD as an economist, working with models and forecasting. But today I feel that most of that needs to be called into question and needs to be considered from a very different perspective, one which I think has the potential to overcome the fundamental alienation that the current way of doing business, including the way we run government, abuses the world around us, and in fact sets us up in a rather silly way in opposition to the fundamental characteristics of the universe we live in. We live in a universe where the only certainty is uncertainty. And yet we put all of our efforts into trying to establish certainty and to control the world around us. Wouldn't it be even just simply logical to spend more time and effort in being able to improvise, in being able to identify difference, in being able to overcome the fear of the other and the things that we don't know, instead of saying that we want to avoid and eliminate surprises, including such as a pandemic? The issue becomes, how can we be able to understand that we are part of this world, that we build fragility into our very way of living if we think we can eliminate surprises, or if we base our sense of security on never being shocked. This is an absurd position. It puts us in a position where we're frightened all the time and where we fail all the time. So I just want to suggest that there's an opportunity here from the point of view, including from COVID, to not return to the way we've done things, to take the profound message that's being sent to us by our planet, the profound message that's being sent to us by a little bacteria, a little virus, that upends our images of the future and the way in which we conduct daily life. What better way do we need, what stronger message do we need? That all these tools, including the ones we're using now, were available to us 20 years ago, and that the access and the engagement that was possible from these tools was doable entirely. It wasn't the tools that were determining, it was us. We are our tools. And overcoming these whole range of ways of thinking that in fact disempower people at a local level, I think is the opportunity of our time. And to me, that's the source of hope. Not, I would point out, because I know that the world will be better because of what I am doing, because I don't know that I will be able to determine the future. But what I do know is that if I cultivate, if I develop capabilities, then like a child that learns to read and to write, they will be able to do things in the future that I can't even imagine. And that's wonderful. And instead of being responsible for them, what I am responsible for is for myself and for what I do now. And it's the actions that I take now, the means that I deploy, not the ends that I justify those means on, that are the core contribution to a legacy which is light not imposing on the future, but liberating for the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those wise words, and thank you for your time again. We really appreciate your presence in this platform. And indeed, as Aspire, we will be taking up further discussions and further conversations, and also work with UNESCO in redefining this future for from the perspective of the people, and also to ensure that we start to establish certainty now as we move towards the future. Can I take this opportunity, Mr. Mngadi? There's a question from Councillor Ord, and she's asking, and it's for Papa Mngadi, do you envisage an online teaching platform for teaching English to our African youth, very much like the TELF teaching method used in Vietnam and Thailand? I think she wants to check your perspective on that issue. Over to you, Mr. Mngadi. Unmute on your phone. Sure. Okay. Okay, can you try speak? We've unmuted you on your phone. Okay. Okay, can you hear us now? Okay, we can't hear you. I think while we're still trying to sort out your audio issues, Prof. Mayor, parting shots, DDM, why do you think it's not going to work? Is it still on the platform? Okay, it looks like he is disconnected. Papama, can you hear us now? Okay. Okay, we are not getting any feedback sound.
Can you hear me, Theo?
Yes, we can. There we go. The floor is yours.
I'm sorry we have to go through this, but this is the 4IR that we are waiting for. CEO, I'm going to tackle a number of questions before I get to the TEFL question, because that's the easiest one, I think. There were questions here around the DDM, and there was also the hope. I think I also want to touch on the hope question. You know, CEO, I was born in a place called Ngamakwe, which falls within Amathole. And one of the striking things when you drive through Ngamakwe right now is that somewhere along the line, someone decided that it was a good idea to put a taxi rank right in the middle of the street where everyone passes through. And the consequence of that is that there's been an economic embargo on every shop facing that street since that taxi rank was put right slap bang in the middle of that road. And that means that that town, small town's economic livelihood has been hamstrung for quite a number of years. And so if we want a tangible outcome of how to change the prospects and the hopes of our people, we probably need to start by relocating that taxi rank. So
Mr. Mngadi, can you hear us? Okay, because he is speaking and we can't hear his audio. Mr. Mngadi, can you hear us? I don't think he can hear us. I think we may have a technical glitch with the devices that he's utilizing on his platform. Hello, there we go the old school way. Okay, we're really struggling, colleagues, and I'm looking at the time as well and our program for today. What we will do, we will afford him an opportunity to write closing remarks on the chat, and we will then be able to talk to those comments as we are proceeding ahead. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the members of the panel. Indeed, the discussion was very rich and it was informative. And as Aspire, we will be taking some of these discussions going forward in terms of how do development agencies ensure sustainable long-term economic growth and also creating wealth for an ordinary person of Amathole District Municipality. And I do see on the platform, we do have some CEOs of other development agencies from the province, and those CEOs are making comments to say that this is empowering, this is giving us the ability to start to talk about the positioning of the development agencies in terms of redefining the future with the people. So thank you very much once more for the opportunities. We will have further engagements on the areas of collaborations and partnerships. Thank you.
Thank you, and good luck. Appreciate being part of it. Bye-bye.
Thank you. We will now be moving to the next segment of our program. And as the chairperson of the board was developing or was presenting his overview of Aspire, for Aspire, in order to create wealth and in order to grow together in towards a prosperous and Amathole District Municipality, is reliant on partnerships. And we cannot do it on our own. We've got our parent municipality that has expanded our mandate. And I do understand that the executive mayor is on the platform and will afford him an opportunity to give us a message of support for this gathering. Executive Mayor, over to you. If you can unmute his mic, please. Executive Mayor, please, can you unmute your mic? You are online. Are you able to hear us, Executive Mayor? We can see you are online. Let's remember to continue with the conversation on our social media platforms utilizing the hashtags that are appearing on our screens, hashtag Amathole, hashtag Sikula Kunye, and hashtag Creating Wealth. I would also want to take this opportunity to request a message of support from the Eastern Cape Development Corporation. They are in partnership with Aspire and Amathole District Municipality, and they have done extensive work in the unlocking the film industry within the district. I think, Mr. Governor, the platform is yours. Leslie, can you take the platform, please? They are on the platform. We're just struggling, colleagues, with the connectivities. Unfortunately, as Papama did indicate, this is the 4IR. Please unmute your line, Liz. The other partnership that Aspire Development Agency has is with the Eastern Cape Kauleza PMO on the aspects around digital literacy. And within those aspects, they will be looking into further partnerships and collaboration within that space. I think at this opportune time, let me give Leslie an opportunity to deliver the message of support on behalf of ECDC. Over to you, Leslie.
Hi, thank you so much. I hope I'm audible now. Only got controls recently. I think there's a tight control over it. Thank you, CEO, and good morning to everyone, honorable members as well. And I would like to convey an apology from my CEO, who could not make it. He had another engagement to get to, and he asked me to speak to you on ECDC and also how we can work together. I've been listening to all the contributions from the panel members, and I think the solution is somewhere in between. And I think that ECDC and Aspire must work together to create that solution. I don't think it will just come out from anywhere. So in light of that, I think ECDC and Aspire has been working has a very strong relationship, especially when ADM announced his 2058 vision of becoming a smart city. And both institutions have worked very closely to achieve the set vision through promoting collaboration. I think it's important that I highlight that, and I think some of your speakers and your panel members have highlighted the issue of talking, conversation, speaking, looking at where the issues are and exactly what we should be doing to address them. And it should be, I think it's something that we created out of our own voice, and it's something that we continue to co-create, and it's something that we need to continue to co-create. I think we are clear about the vision. We want a sustainable and innovative economy, full of growth and opportunities for the people that live in the ADM district. And we want to make sure that the MOU that we entered into, it facilitates commercially viable and feasible projects that grows the economy, creates the jobs, and SMEs benefit and their skills transfer. And whilst doing that, we also explore the local and international markets. And I'm saying this because we don't want to explore the local and international markets so that we can bring them here. We want to bring them here because we're not on the back foot. We're on the front foot of development. We know what we want for the region, and we know how to get that. So we want to look at innovative ways in which they can participate in that. We should never accept the fact that we are always on the back foot on issues. I think we have enough opportunities under our doorsteps. We have enough people. We have enough talented people. We have a culture of hard work. We have a culture of doing things and getting things done. And I think ECDC and Aspire has produced that. I just want to highlight 3 areas that maybe that we collaborated quite well on. One is, I think everybody was speaking around the dam project. And I just want to highlight that the dam project, which is now showing on Showmax, which is a movie, which is a film, it's something that started, I think, I'm talking about this one and Itemba, which is season 2. It's going to be shot next year. I think those are 2 projects on the film side that we collaborated quite well on. And I think the speakers were quite right. We were not prepared for the type of depth of that industry that our SMEs needed to get involved in. And I think that is a wake-up call for us. And I think it's more of an opportunity for us to actually get deeper into the value chains that some of these new sectors, or the 4IR sector, for instance, film sector, things that the youth are excited about. I think some of our guys were more on the traditional industrial side. There are lots of other opportunities coming in the new dimension that we're finding ourselves in. And those 2 projects I think it took a lot of preparation from our side. We had to convince a lot of the filmmakers that we do have the scenery, we do have the support, we do have the type of set they're looking for in order for them to get into the district. And we sort of brought in 668 jobs, temporary jobs. 15 SMMEs benefited from the dam project, and we are looking at I think season 2 has started now, has been approved, and it's going ahead now in 2021. I think we just need to get to the bottom of the grips of the Timber season 2, which is coming next year. I think that is also going to bring a massive amount of investment into the area, and I think it's an opportunity for us to learn as well. So when you find us lobbying on infrastructure issues and trying us to lobby for support at various platforms in government and also with the private sector, we work quite closely with Aspire to do that. And I think the level of commitment that we've experienced from Aspire, and also the level of professionalism from the CEO's team that we work with, is above par. And we can't really say that our relationship is bad. Our relationship is excellent. I think with these two projects, we have tested that relationship. With the MOU that we have, we've tested that relationship, and we can safely say that Aspire is one of those partners that we really look forward working towards. One of the other areas that we are getting involved in, and we're taking it a little bit further, and I think probably it has downstream effects on both sides, is the Butterworth industrial development. We do have many properties in that area, and we're thinking of creating a small industrial development site there. And I think those things are in the pipeline. We're still in the process of developing the master plan, and the master plan then would indicate which way we should take the industrial park. You remember that we have SCZs in the province as well. So these ones are more related to the SMMEs, which is the core of the economy of the Eastern Cape. I think that being said, we also have. I know that Dimbaza is not part of the district, but I think there's feeder industries that come around Dimbaza that definitely will contribute towards the development of that site as well. So from our side, Chair, thank you so much for the opportunity. We subscribe to your vision, prosperous and smart Amathole. We are supporting you fully, and let us collaborate and let us do those things that the academics are saying that we should do, and let's make a success of it. I think it can only get better. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Governor, for representing ECDC. That MOU is alive, and that MOU is already reaping the rewards. People of Adelaide can now go and identify a building from their hometown, which has been showcased on Showmax in the series
Yes.
called The Dam, all made possible by ECDC, Amathole District Municipality, and Aspire Development Agency. Would like to request a representative from the Eastern Cape Kauleza PMO to deliver a message of support. The platform is yours. Exec, Mr. Martin, I do see you are on the platform. If you can unmute yourself, please. Okay. While we're waiting for the Eastern Cape Kauleza PMO to take the platform for a message of support, one of the focus areas that Aspire will be partnering with the Eastern Cape Kauleza PMO is on digital transformation. They have recently launched the Eastern Cape Hub. They launched it in Chris Hani District Municipality. They do have strategic partners on board, and the strategic partners being Microsoft South Africa, and I did see the colleagues on the platform. They've also got a strategic partnership with NEMISA as part of the digital literacy initiatives. This is the CEO, Mr. Baphelele Mhlaba. If you could take the platform, say, in terms of the message of support. Over to you.
Thank you very much, CEO. It's been, I think, empowering to be part of the session this morning. Listening to the panelists earlier, just I think infused what a lot more we can actually do in the Eastern Cape if we were to be able to work together. My name is Baphelele Mhlaba. I'm the head of the Kauleza PMO, which is located at EXEC. It's an intervention by the Eastern Cape provincial government, targeting at, amongst other things, driving an agenda for a smarter government. So we have quite a big focus on development as well as business intelligence, or rather development driven by technology. And through the partnership that we have with Amathole District, and I think we are charged in a very positive way by a vision of a smarter Amathole. I think we have been encouraged, or rather we have been working with many districts, and I think it's fair to say that Amathole is a leader in this particular focus and in this particular focus area, the niche really that our people need. When we talk from a development imperative perspective, we talk about a development that cannot be achieved without people. And the partnership that we actually have with Amathole is targeted at ensuring that the people in Amathole become part of the solutions that their government is actually pursuing. And this is the reason why we've actually taken quite a direct and keen interest in partnering with private sector, bringing those partnerships to bear so that they benefit our people as a whole in the province. We are actively pursuing the goals of the PDP of ensuring that we have an educated citizenry and by 2030. And not only that, we still pursue the agenda of an educated citizenry, but indeed that we are ensuring that our people are able to be part of the economy. And what we've seen with COVID is that the economy is technology going forward. The economy is diversifying every business that it is able to pursue its growth, its development through using smart technologies, through investing in systems. And if our people are going to be part of those solutions, the capital investment that we are making with Microsoft South Africa in the Eastern Cape has to actually bring to bear these benefits that we are talking about. And this is the reason why we're actually heavily encouraged to be in partnership with Aspire, because we believe that we have a shared vision in that aspect. So our program indeed focuses at a school level, and we want to bring this challenge to Amathole District to say every school in Amathole that has internet access, we're going to go out of our way to make sure that that school is registered and participates on our Microsoft program, which is a program that started with 10 schools this year. We're now rolling out an additional 10 schools in our Tambo, And we are looking at schools with internet access that have got labs. We're starting at grade 10 and making sure that teachers are empowered to be able to use technology to teach, and that learners are empowered to use online learning systems and being able to maximize as much as possible through virtual classrooms. And these are the things that we're bringing through using Microsoft South Africa. And beyond that, we're looking equally at higher education institutions, introducing a program of artificial intelligence, university. And I dare say that Forte will be part of the rollout next year. We started with Walter Sisulu University this year, and 23 learners are part of the Artificial Intelligence University at Forte, looking at postgraduate ICT focus and into artificial intelligence, systems development, app development. And we are taking those students through. And Forte has now been accredited, and we would be looking at ensuring that we assist them to sign an agreement with Microsoft so that they can also enroll postgraduate students that are focused on artificial intelligence. And going further, we equally saying to the young people in Amathole and elsewhere in the province, we have a portal. And my colleagues are going to load that portal on the comments, which is part of the website at EXEC. And the two portals that we have are portals on Microsoft Community Training, and those programs are which other people have had to pay significant amount of monies to be able to attend, just basic computer literacy programs, looking at office programs, going beyond and looking at Power BI, SharePoint, and a number of other computer programs. We're now bringing those things in terms of the training material for free in partnership with Microsoft. And this is the reason why we are so much endorsing the issue of the hubs that are targeted at ensuring that young people in Amathole can visit through each or one of these municipalities. I know the one in Muma because we've discussed it, CEO, but one wishes that all the local municipalities within the district can have these ICT hubs where young people can walk in and be able to access this, so that if they don't have internet access at home, they know that there are walk-in centers that where they can go have access to the training material, download, read the material, and when they're ready to write exams, we equally saying we're still there with the PCETA, and we are going to assist them to be able to afford the examination fees. But these things we're saying we're bringing them to the attention of young people, because we're not just basically saying young people, mabavuke bazenzele. We're saying we are going to make an investment. We are going to make sure that we encourage them to use their smartphones to be able to access these portals. And as I indicated, they will be the portals will be made available on the comments so that we can spread the word. The material is already available. Young people can register, young people can learn, and young people can write, and they can be computer literate. Even if you are like me, you consider yourself computer literate, you can still improve your skills. We're lastly talking to SMMEs, because we're saying SMMEs are actually part of us at twofold. One is we are engaging 15 ICT companies throughout the Eastern Cape to be Microsoft partners, because we believe that as we are encouraging and improving systems in government and making sure that our government is digitized, our government is improving towards making sure that we run a digital transformed government system, that our government officials are competent to use the systems, that equally the SMMEs that are in the province become part of that change and they can make business. But we're equally saying the SMMEs that make use of opportunities in government to trade with government we want to encourage them as well to run their businesses on a digital platform. So if you go on the portals, you will see that there are specific courses that are structured for the small to medium business owner, that small business owner can be able to see how they can be able to run their books, convert their administration, make use of computers to run their systems, and move away from manual systems and adopt the new way of life of making sure that you are able to completely run your business on digital platforms. And then this is the investment that we're making. And so, lastly, we're saying to every person, more specifically young people, more specifically women, who bear the scourge of unemployment, of poverty, of inequality, and more, I think, more than anything, our unemployment in the Eastern Cape is probably the highest in the country. And this is the reason why we want to bring these opportunities to bear to our people. And through partnerships such as the one we have with Aspire, we want to make sure that we change each district at a go. And we believe that this partnership that we have with Amathole District through Aspire will bring some of those fruits to bear. So we are very much encouraged, Acting CEO, we are very much encouraged, Executive Mayor, to be part of the session today. And we thank you for the opportunity that we can address this session. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mhlaba. That is the CEO of Exec PMO, the Kauleza PMO. And indeed, the agenda of digital transformation will come to life for the people of Amathole. And the institutions of higher learning, which Mr. Mngadi had highlighted in his remarks, are not going to be left behind. There's also further discussions we are having with the FET colleges within the district in order to house some of these initiatives that Mr. Mhlaba is talking to. And as soon as those are finalized, we will be making those announcements in due course. I would like to call on the municipal manager of Amathole District Municipality, Dr. Mnyimba, to deliver a message of support on behalf of the parent municipality.
Good afternoon to you, Acting CEO, to the chairperson of the board, Prof, to the members of the board, my executive mayor, Councillor Kanyile Maneli, to his executive that he leads, everyone in the room and in the platform, good day. I'm standing in, Prof, on behalf of the executive mayor, and I must tender his apology. He is struggling with the connection. I'm not going to dwell much on the journey traveled thus far. I think both the chairperson of Aspire and the acting CEO has done that very well. I think what is important, Prof, now for me, on behalf of His Worship, the executive mayor, is to, in this platform, emphasize the strategic position of the parent company when it comes to Aspire. Aspire is a creation of a council decision of the parent company. And when we then repositioned Aspire as a parent company, for Aspire to look at the entire economic growth and development of the district, meaning therefore expanding the mandate of Aspire. We would like to see Aspire creating wealth, utilizing natural and artificial resources within the district. For any economy to grow, we need to create wealth. We cannot be talking about growing an economy without creating wealth first. An economy only grows when wealth is created. Then that wealth then grows the economy. And when the economy grows, jobs get created. We normally like to fall into the trap of talking about job creation without attending to the genesis of job creation. And as a parent company, would want to encourage Aspire to take that journey. Secondly, acting CEO would like Aspire to focus, and already Aspire is doing that, to focus on human capital development in Amathole. How do we ensure that our people in Amathole won't be spectators of the development that takes place in their area? If we're talking about the development of a seawater desalination plant, what skill set is needed for such an infrastructure investment worth 5.3 billion? How are we preparing our people for them to build that infrastructure? Not be spectators whilst that infrastructure is being constructed. So human capital, using just that one example, is critical for Aspire. Hence, we appreciate the efforts of Aspire ensuring that we prepare our youth for the fourth industrial revolution. The hackathon project and other projects that talk to young people in ensuring them, we skill them for the future we're talking about as we walk this journey towards 2058. The third point I want to talk to acting CEO, as we're applying ourselves as a parent company, we would want Aspire to invest in public infrastructure investment. For any private investment to come, government must put public infrastructure investment. As government, we must ensure that in our area, roads are surfaced to ensure that the products that are produced within our municipal jurisdiction get safe and sound to their desired destination. And this produce is not taking place in an urban area. This produce is taking place in rural communities where we have gravel roads. If you have a farmer investing on pineapples, citrus, and you take that product and you put it on a gravel road in a truck, by the time it gets to the airport, that produce is damaged. That farmer loses the export market. And that product now must be sold locally. And that's what we are subjecting our entrepreneurs to. So we need to change that. As government, we need to invest on energy. We need to invest in water and sanitation. In Butterworth, we have lost two noticeable companies or factories. One that produces beer, because to produce beer, you need a lot of water. And if we don't provide sustainable water, that factory closed down, they moved to Durban. We've lost Coca-Cola, the bottling company, because they need water. They moved to Port Elizabeth, to Gqeberha now. I'm just citing these few examples that public infrastructure is investment is critical for private investment to come in our area. So this is an area that as a parent company would like Aspire to focus on and jealously guard going forward. How will Aspire do all this, all the three aspects I've just touched on? Both the current board and the new board, we encourage Aspire to register as an independent power producer. Company secretary, I think this is a space working with the CEO and the chairperson of the board that you need to be working on. The national government has pronounced on deregulating the producing of energy up to 100 megawatts. How do we position ourselves to maximize on that opportunity? And as an parent company was saying, Aspire, that is an opportunity that you need to take going forward. So the process of applying or to register Aspire as an IPP for the entire district, and for that matter, not only limited to the district. Aspire can do this work anywhere in the country. Aspire needs to develop a business plan development capabilities. As Aspire, acting CEO, you need to invest on that. We had ideas. All the catalytic projects were ideas. We had to convert the ideas into concepts so that we can conceptualize the idea. We've done that. We've moved from conceptualization to business plan development. And that's where we are now, both as a parent company working with Aspire. So you need to strengthen your business plan development capabilities so that you can get to the next point I want to talk to, financial resource mobilization. Because as Aspire, we've done the planning, working together. Now we must resource the plan. That's the second stage. You start with planning and you invest. Planning takes the longest time. Normally, human beings get frustrated with planning. But you must start there. Because whatever you do in the near future will be based on what you have planned. So you need to be patient with that process. It's exhausting, it's long, it's taxing. And we have done that for the past 2 years. The first 2 years, with the parent company. We invested in that. We are patient in that process. Now we must resource the plan. Therefore, business plan development is key for financial resource mobilization. So we'll work together, both the parent company and the development agency in that space. We must approach all possible funders in the country and in the world to resource the plan. Aspire needs to develop project management capabilities. If you're talking about, Prof, listening to your remarks, opening remarks, you're talking about 11.8 billion projects. You're talking about 5.3 billion projects. You're talking about 3.3 billion projects. Do you have project management capabilities to project manage those such projects? So Aspire needs to develop, as a matter of urgency, project plan management capabilities. Moving to the next point, which is the second last, CEO, and which is my personal passion, acting CEO. Aspire needs to strategically position itself as a strategic global partner. And that's going to be the major responsibility of the next board. The next board must ensure that you are not only a regional player, you are not only a provincial player as Aspire, you're not only a national player as Aspire. Aspire must become a global player. Indeed, baby steps. Indeed, we will chew according to what we are capable of chewing, Prof. But it is very important to have a posture. And it's very important not to only have that posture, but to have a desire and the will to be a global player. Lastly, acting CEO, we need to continue to nurture the strategic partnerships that we have initiated, acting CEO. We will never achieve the vision as an island. We need to continue to develop these strategic partnerships, Prof, but not only develop them, but to nurture them. We need to continue to work with strategic institutions and strategic individuals who can support us and hold our hand as we journey towards 2058. I think it's very important to say this. As Amathole District, we do not aspire nor desire to be a metro or a city. We are a rural district. What we aspire and desire is to be smart within our ruralness. That's what we aspire for. Smart solutions within our ruralness. On behalf of the executive mayor and the parent company, we wish Aspire the best in the future as you journey with the people and the communities of Amathole towards 2058. I thank you.
The challenge I'm having is that I'm not that tall. Now the mic finds itself way above my head. I'll attempt to, there we go. Okay. No, thank you very much, MM. And thank you for conveying the message of the executive mayor in terms of the support that the parent municipality is always giving to the entity. I think today we have seen the evolution of the entity from its original foundings in 2005, where it became a benchmark of excellence in the implementations of the small town regeneration program. And one of the key messages that is coming out of discussions today, and which we know, Prof, that we will continue to have these conversations as we are moving towards creating wealth for Amathole, is that we need to be able to define the future within our context. On the 21st of September, the Honorable Premier had an extended executive council wherein he was focusing on the economy, and the Minister of Finance was delivering an input into that platform. And I hope I'm not sharing classified information. I just want to put that disclaimer. But one of the things he said was that education, water, ICT, roads, health, and agriculture are the key drivers for us to recover our economy post-COVID-19. And it has been a message and a consistent echo throughout this morning's discussion in terms of how Aspire can ensure that they're creating wealth for the people of Amathole. We are appreciating the directive that has been given by our parent municipality to focus Aspire's energies towards registering to be an independent power producer, to be within the space of creating enablement for industrialization so that those much needed jobs and job inequality, and unemployment can be done away with within our district. Indeed, as you are conveying the message to the executive mayor, we have aligned ourselves as an entity for a prosperous and smart Amathole district. And indeed, as the professor has indicated, and also listening to the messages of support, strategic partnerships is the heartbeat of realizing this game changer of a prosperous and smart Amathole district. I think we have come to the end of our program, but before I officially end the program, our Deputy Chairperson, Dr. Williams, will come and give closing remarks for this session. And we have indicated that this is just the beginning of many platforms to have these conversations. It is about collaborations. It is about partnerships. Economy knows no boundaries. Boundaries are there for geographical purposes, but the economy knows no boundaries. So we're looking forward to working with the BCMDA. We're looking forward to working with Krisani Development Agency. We're looking forward to working with Indinga Development Agency in OR Tambo. We're looking forward to working with the Sarah Batman Development Agency. We're also looking forward to working with the Nelson Mandela Development Agency in terms of harnessing and putting together efforts in creating this competitive advantage and excellence for the entire province of the Eastern Cape. We're also looking forward to learning from Kucha SEZ and also learning from the East London IDZ in terms of how we can industrialize our ruralness, but yet still have the niche of us being a dynamic rural district. Over to you, Dr. Williams.
Thank you, Program Director. To direct one's hope and ambitions to achieving something. That's called Aspire. And in fact, if I consider the conversations of today, creating wealth for Amathole is inspire. And in fact, it is, I would put one caveat as I hear the conversations today, Program Director, it is creating wealth for the people of Amathole. You know, Amathole does not exist without its people. Program Director, my task is very simple. I think to express my gratitude to our Honorable Councillor Maneli, our Executive Mayor, our Councillor Tikele, Mayor of Great Kai, Board of Directors sitting here present and elsewhere, Dr. Nyemba, thank you, and your executive team, the Expire executive around in this and all over, and of course our guests out there online, thank you. My thoughts, you know, I got a phrase here I want to capture. They say, take the platform. In my day, and still my day, and my parents' day, when you took the platform, what's called take the floor. It's the new normal. So I'm on the floor and on the platform. It's the new normal, they say. And the new normal, they define, in fact, it's almost an oxymoron. They define as the current situation of social custom, etc., that is different from what it was experienced or done before, but is expected to become usual. So the new normal is the usual. And sometimes we have to go through some of the glitches of today. But those are the things I say when the pandemic has been placed upon us. I believe it's a situation that demands us to respond. And what I heard today clearly is our response to the new normal. Indeed, our aspire to creating wealth for Amathole and its people. Program Director, I will touch on a few things. You in particular, our community, must be part of defining your future. That's what you said. And indeed, we will not be able to move forward if that is not the case. Our Honorable Chairperson of the Board, Professor Adendorf, you are keen to get to the next phase, it's evident, of industrialization. And as I know you, it's about seizing the moment. You also the one in a casual chat that said to us yesterday, you must speak the truth in what you want to achieve to the future because it will be so. So aspire, I believe, is that we want to achieve, the hope and the ambitions to achieving something. And therefore, the next phase, certainly to the incoming board, and seizing the opportunity that has been and the platform that has been laid is going to be critical. Our colleagues that gave so much into the conversation, which I can touch base with our Professor Meyer, and you know the need for short-term projects to create trust. He was very clear about that. So whilst we've got these big projects that we want to render, I think it's critical that we deal the short ones, the projects, and the ones that are short-term of nature to create that trust. I think is important. And Aspire, in hindsight about that, we've created our capability within ourselves of a project team led by fellow director Kenyele. Of course, Dr. Miller of UNESCO was very clear about how we must imagine the future. I think if you are not able to imagine the future, it's going to be difficult for you to aspire to that future that you can't imagine. And therefore, change must happen with imagination in mind, because else we're going to be too short-term focused. I've learned some of these terms nowadays. Even the new normal, if you see the new normal only in a perspective of systematic change, I think we're making a mistake. The new normal has to be seen as a change, about new change, about new change. And therefore, colleagues of the board, stakeholders as ADM, management, make yourself ready for change. I come from a world where it's very simple, that says, don't waste a crisis. A crisis gets you into action. Many of us here will tell you, if crisis did not happen in their lives, they would not be where they are into the future. Every single successful story gets to a point of infection where you can say there's something they had to do and act upon. For the simplistic person I am, I just call it a crisis. So don't let us waste the crisis that is currently befalling mankind. I can see the future being crafted. Let's all be part of it. And the whole idea of big international thinking about the future, we should not be scared for that. If not in our lifetime, certainly in somebody else's lifetime. And here I'm talking on the license of our district, our province, our country, our Africa, our world. I want to speak to my colleague from BMF. He spoke about investing on our people, not just institutions. And I must tell you, as a BMF member of the 80s, I need to take my membership back again there. I was really inspired by our colleague from BMF. You know, the practicalities of some of the conversation he's having, but he's saying, again, the issue of investing our people is important. Our support by ECDC is well documented, and we appreciate that. From our PMO office, thank you for their support. And of course, our shareholder. I'm being seated on that board, not once, Chairperson, have we ever wavered from the knowledge that we have the support of ADM. And I think to the mayor and his executive team, we are grateful for that. Today is just one of those landmarks that we shall acknowledge in our diary. But I think it's important in this stakeholder event, we take one step closer to our deals and objective. to the program director who has organized this event, to the colleagues out there, the stakeholders out there, we are grateful for this opportunity. And let us take hands, as our colleague of BMF has said, let's cooperate. What is that terminology that he used? There's a good one he used that that defines how we must implement things. Co-create. And I think going forward, the world is going to be less about us, you. It's all going to be about how we interact with one another and how we can co-create. So I thank you all for having this opportunity to address you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Williams. We have come to the end of our session for today. I would like to thank everybody who has managed to log on in our various platforms, and would encourage that we continue having these conversations and we continue to reach out. The recordings of this proceedings will be sent to the participants so that we have further engagements again. So let's encourage dialogue, let's work together, let's bring unity in creating wealth for Amathole. Sikhula kunye. Yes, that's our hashtag. Thank you very much. The session is adjourned. Thank you.